No rules, no filter, no apologies. The show never stops, and we will have the Attitude Era edition of WWE 2K26 with pre-orders available on January 30th. It feels really nice to finally have some information on at least one of the editions of this game, as we've been getting leaks for the past couple of days, but now we finally have actual confirmation of one of the covers and editions. In a video a few days ago, I speculated on the potential Attitude Era edition of this game, featuring possible inclusions like Austin, Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, and so on and so forth, and I think I was pretty spot on with my prediction, with the cover of this game and trailer featuring the likes of Stone Cold, The Rock, Kane, The Undertaker, Trish Stratus, Lita, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon, the Dudley Boys, and Chyna. However, someone who participated in the trailer but not the cover of the game is Mankind, who I do think will be featured in this game somehow. And if we're getting some sort of showcase or storyline or something like that, I do think Mankind will still be involved, and maybe we can get some sort of alternate attire for him through a bonus in this edition. Now, the way that they kind of advertise this, it does seem like a deluxe or an ultimate edition and not the base version of the game. So I do think you're looking at about 100 or 120 to 130 USD for this game. And I don't know if it's physical or digital. I always hope physical. I love physical media. However, recently the ultimate editions of the game since 2K22 have been digital only. And as of last year, the deluxe edition also went digital only. I assume we will have one physical version of this game, and I assume that will just be the base game. Now, there's a lot to be excited for when it comes to the Attitude Era edition, because we will see the likes of the stars I mentioned, but we could also see debuts and returns like Testin Albert, APA versions of Bradshaw and Farouk, and plenty other names, including names that will likely return from the past year's DLC, like Mark Henry, the New Age Outlaws, Victoria, and more. I do unfortunately think that with this edition, we will not get the likes of Edge and Christian, Chris Jericho, Jeff and Matt Hardy, Vince McMahon, and The Big Show, because they are pretty big parts of the era that will just have to be cut from whatever storyline or plot line we get through this. And again, this could just be the cover and some bonuses on the side. We might not have any focus in the actual game or the modes themselves, but I do think it is safe to say that we will get Attitude Era versions of all of the names on this list. And for the likes of Mankind, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, the Dudley Boys, and Chyna, we have seen those Attitude Era versions in the game already. Before the likes of Stephanie McMahon, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Lita, Triple H, Trish Stratus, and Kane, we have only seen those through Persona models or just not in the game at all recently. So it is really nice to finally get some of these versions in the game, especially Kane, which I know a lot of people have been wanting for quite a while, but I would love to see Triple H 01 in the game, which I hope is possible through not a Persona, but it does look like through the trailer we will get spotlighted more on that DX era. In Trish Stratus, we got the 2003 Persona card. That is technically after the Attitude Era, so maybe we'll get a different model like the one we see on the cover. And for someone like Kurt Angle, we got a Persona model for him in 2001, but it looked abysmal. So I hope we get something more akin to the 2K18 version of Kurt Angle we got, or just something completely different that looks actually accurate to what he looked like in the time and not just like old bald Kurt Angle with a wig on. I do think another added bonus of this edition, or just the game itself, could be Brian Pillman, who I had previously talked about through the NXT teaser as Lexus King predicted him for the cover star. I understand a lot of people probably not reading into that too much because it's his dad, so it makes plenty of sense. But Brian Pillman hasn't been featured in a game since 2K17. And no matter how we get him back in the game, it would be really cool to see him make his way back in. Now, I talked about this potentially being the deluxe or ultimate edition of the game. I think it was speculated that Stone Cold would be the deluxe cover. So with this Attitude Era edition being released, I do think this could be the deluxe edition, but I do think it has enough legs to be the ultimate edition and get plenty of buyers for the most expensive version of the game. But I do still lean towards CM Punk being the base cover. And now you can believe the leaks or not believe the leaks. I've been predicting Punk as the base cover star for this game since I want to say last August was my first video on it. So I do think it is still very likely that CM Punk will be the cover star, and I do still lean towards CM Punk being the showcase star. Again, erase all of the leaks. Go back in time on my channel. I made videos about this stuff in the past, and I do think the leaks benefit what I was saying before and make me more confident in those beliefs. But just overall, looking at the cover of this game, I think it is maybe my favorite cover that we have ever seen. Is that a little too much? I really like some of the John Cena covers we got in 2K23, but trying to think back to other covers, even on like SVR, I think SVR 07 is probably the best of those covers, or 2011. I think this might outweigh those. I think this is supremely better than the WWE 2K24 WrestleMania edition that had a bunch of AI or allegedly AI character models throughout the cover. I wasn't too big on that one, whether it was AI or not. I just wasn't really too big on the color scheme and the way that the models looked on the cover. But here, I think it looks a lot better. It does very much have a vintage feel. And for the logo of this version of the game, we have the scratched WWE logo. We have 2K26 and the 26 duct taped with hardcore across the two. I think that's really cool. I just think this is a really cool cover. I think it is one of the best ones we have seen, not just in recent memory, but maybe ever. And despite me predicting some Attitude Era integration into this game, I was really hoping and praying that we would finally get some ruthless aggression into WWE 2K. I do know Attitude Era is like the best era in wrestling ever. Don't fault anyone that believes that, but Ruthless Aggression era is my era. That's my favorite era of wrestling, and I would just love to see it spotlighted. I know we got it a little bit with the John Cena showcase and the Ultimate Edition unlockables for that, but I do just want to see a Ruthless Aggression mode with a Ruthless Aggression cover. So if for 2K27 they pull out a Ruthless Aggression edition with a very similar cover featuring stars from the Ruthless Aggression era, I would very much eat that up. I would very much buy that. But this Attitude Era edition does have a lot of fans excited. A lot of people do seem to love what we have gotten from this very brief reveal, and I'm very much hoping we get more. I do think we could get one for Saturday Night's Main Event. I do think we could get a reveal for Raw, but I think we're absolutely going to get a lot or all of this stuff revealed before January 30th, which is the pre-order date for at least this version of the game, but possibly for all versions of the game. And hopefully before then we find out the actual release date of the game. I assume it's early March. But either way, I'm very excited to get my hands on this game. And if this is the Ultimate Edition, I might have to fork out the money to buy it, because it looks very promising just from the thoughts that come to my head on what the potential of this edition could lead to. We haven't seen any in-game footage. The trailer was strictly real-life footage. So I'm very excited to see what we could get. I hope you are too. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this in the future, and let me know down below what most excites you about the Attitude Era edition of this game, or what you want to see with WWE 2K26, whether it's with this version or a different version of the game, or just the game itself. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.